In today's video, we're going to be going over how you can start setting up your store and your supplier settings for the AutoDS platform. This is going to include your lister, your pricing, your orders, and your general settings. So the first thing for this is, of course, we are going to need to sign into our AutoDS account. By the way, if you don't have an account with AutoDS just yet, you can get started for just $1 for the next 2 weeks. So once we have everything signed in and we're ready to go, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the settings tab or the settings button all the way at the bottom left-hand corner. So we're going to click on that, and then it's going to take us to this page. Now here we're going to have a few different pages. We're going to have our supplier settings, our automations, our templates, and a few other things. Today, we're going to be going specifically over the supplier settings. And if you want a walkthrough for all of the other settings on this page or on the AutoDS platform, then make sure you go ahead and subscribe and make sure you like the video so you don't miss out on any future videos. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to check out over here where it says select store. Now this is going to be a list of our different stores. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one over here. This is my eBay store. And here we have all of the different suppliers that I've used on my eBay store. So I've worked or I've ordered from all of these different ones at one point or another. Now, if you don't see a supplier on here that you want to work with or that you've worked with before, all you have to do is simply click on add supplier down here, and you're going to choose your supplier. You're going to choose the warehouse that they ship from, and you're going to go ahead and choose either the recommended settings or copy from another provider, which is simply going to be copying the settings from one of these other ones. Now for this, let's go ahead and choose Amazon. So we're working with our eBay store with an Amazon supplier. If we click on AliExpress, it'll be an AliExpress US supplier. The one right under is from China, Walmart, and some of the other ones. So for this, we're going to be working or talking about specifically Amazon. Now over here on the right hand side, we're going to have a few different options. We're going to have the lister, the pricing, the orders, and a general. So let's start with the lister. The first thing that we're going to have is going to be the default product quantity. So this simply means what is the quantity that your products are going to be uploaded at. So what's going to be the default? When I upload a product to my store, here I can have the default always be to 1, or if I want it to be 100, it's always going to be 100 whenever it uploads to my store. So we can just leave this at 1 for now. And then right under that, we're going to have the default item country and the default zip code. So this is going to be where our products are shipping from. In this case, we can choose any one of these different ones. So if we're ordering, let's say from Amazon US, we do want to keep it within the US. If we're ordering from Amazon UK, dropshipping to the UK, then we can do the United Kingdom and then choose a default zip code for that. Then we're going to have our shipping methods and our default template. So our shipping methods is simply going to be, how do we want our supplier to ship our product? There's going to be 3 options. We have cheapest, cheapest with tracking, and fastest with tracking. Cheapest, you might get the cheapest tracking, but you're not always going to get guaranteed tracking numbers. And that's something that customers always look for. That's something that they always want. So I don't recommend that one. And then the fastest with tracking, I don't recommend that one either, because while you might have the fastest shipping might sometimes be a difference of maybe $20, $30, or $50, or even more sometimes. I always suggest just go with the cheapest with tracking. That way you get the cheapest shipping along with guaranteed tracking numbers. Now here for the default template, this is going to be the default template for our eBay store. So what is our eBay product page is going to look like? Now we have a few different ones under AutoDS templates. If you want to see what they look like, just click on add new template. It's going to take us here to the template section. Click on eBay, and then you're going to have all of the different ones over here. Now we're going to have the selling platform policies. So we want to, when it comes to eBay, I always have use dynamic policies, which pretty much just lets AutoDS create the policies automatically. And it's just what makes it a lot more streamlined and makes it easier. If we take this off, then we're going to have to create the policies ourselves. I always just leave it on, so that way it imports the supplier and it does everything automatically for us. And it's just a lot more streamlined. It's a lot easier. We can also set our different additional handling days. I have it set to 3, but we can increase it or decrease it. We can also allow global shipping programs, so we can click on this, and then this will let us ship our products internationally using the eBay global shipping program. Besides that, we have the advanced lister settings. So here we have a few different options for our default uploads from the supplier. So do we want to allow duplicate products? Let's say if we import multiple products and we accidentally click on the same product twice, do we want that product to be uploaded twice or just once? Allow out of stock variations. If a supplier has something out of stock, are we okay with having it uploaded to our store? Capitalize title, it's pretty self-explanatory. Capitalizes the title. We have the option to autofill the brand of the product that we're selling. Most of the products we're selling are generic, so we don't have to click that. We can split the variants into products, meaning if we have a t-shirt, let's say that's red and blue, we can have this checked off, and it'll upload it as 2 separate listings. So a red shirt and a blue shirt, instead of one shirt with 2 different listings or 2 different variations. We also have the option to allow Vero or blocked keywords. So if one of our listings or if one of our suppliers have, let's say, Disney in the title, and even let's say we're not selling Disney, but it's just there like Disney inspired or something like that, we can go ahead and allow for AutoDS to let us to import that product. If we uncheck this, and there's a blocked keyword on there, I don't know, Nike, for example, as well, or Apple, then it won't upload that product. We can also add the different categories to our tags. And this pretty much simply just means we're going to have different tags for our products. So that way it's easier for us to keep track of the analytics on the AutoDS dashboard. We also have upload different variations, or upload variations, which is going to allow our products to be uploaded with multiple variations. We can also check to duplicate the main image up to 12 different times. Let me actually uncheck that, because I don't want my main image duplicated. We can allow marketplace sellers. Simply what this means is that if our product isn't available through Amazon Prime shipping, because that's the supplier that we're working with, we can source a product from any other seller on Amazon that's selling the same product, even if it's not Prime shipping or if it's not shipped and sold by Amazon. We have the option to make our listings private. And then here we have our price and stock monitoring. So stock and price monitoring. Simply what this does is it allows us to make sure that we're selling products that we still have access to the inventory on our supplier side. So if a supplier, let's say they run out of a particular product, the stock monitoring is going to make sure that we don't sell that same product. So it'll adjust our inventory quantities to match our suppliers. And same thing for the price. If our supplier raises their prices, then AutoDS is going to let us know whenever this happens, so that way we don't sell a product and we lose money on it. Then we can also set AI optimization to on by default for the title and the description. This simply just optimizes our titles and our descriptions using AI. Next, we have the pricing tab. So on here, we can set the default pricing rules for all of our different products that we import from Amazon in this particular case. So since my store is eBay, my selected store is eBay, my fees are going to be about 13%. This right here is already set to default. We can change this if we want. We can set this to 15% if we choose to. Our fee amount, we also have an added 30-cent fee. We can change this too. We can set that to 0 if we want. I'm going to leave it at 30 cents and 13%. Now, do you want to make any additional profit percentage? In this case, we already have it set by default to 10%, but let's say we want to make 60% on every single one of our orders. We can go ahead and set that over here. Do we want to add also a profit in dollar amount as well? So we're getting charged 30 cents. Let's make those 30 cents back, or let's double those 30 cents and make it 60 cents. And now pretty much here, what's going on is that up here, it's telling us how much our production cost is. It's telling us how much we're making in profits, and it's telling us exactly how much we're going to be taking home. So a product that costs $100, we want to make a 60% profit, and we also want to make 60 cents extra. This is pretty much telling us that there's going to be 13% in fees. It's going to equate to $24.04 with the 30-cent fee, meaning that this sample product, something that costs $100 over here, we're going to have to sell it for $184.94 in order to make our 60% profit and already exclude our 13% in fees. And that's what I really like about this. It's that the fees are already excluded. So your total price or your total profits is actually how much you're taking out or how much you're taking home. Now, another thing that we have here is the default automation. So we can go ahead and choose this. We can go ahead and create any new automations. Now, what the automation is simply going to be is, remember how I told you that the stock monitoring is going to keep track of, our price monitoring is going to keep track of our competitors' pricing? Well, what the default automation is going to do is it's going to set it so that way, let's say if our supplier raises their prices by $1, we can have it increase by $2. So these are pretty much different rules that we can set for our automation. So that way we're always in the green. Then we have our dynamic profit. Now this is pretty cool because we can go ahead and add multiple rules. So let's add one where, let's say anything between $0 and $50, we want to make a 60% profit on. Then we can add another rule, anything after those $50 up to $150, we don't need to make 60% in profit anymore because we're already making some good money. So we can drop this to 55%. Then we can add another one, so that way when we sell anything over 150 and between 500, we can drop it down to, let's say, 40%. And then we can add different rules that way. Then we have the set price cents value, so whenever we click on this, let's say we want it to be 45 cents, all of our prices are going to end in 45 cents. And we also have the option to include shipping price on our orders. Then we have the orders tab. Here we're going to have the process orders using the Fulfilled by AutoDS and the automatic orders. Now these are two completely different things. We can have one of these checked or both of these checked. I always have both, but simply the process orders using Fulfilled by AutoDS, what that's going to mean is that whenever an order comes in, AutoDS is not going to use your buyer accounts or your information to make that purchase. Instead, AutoDS is going to use its own buyer accounts, which I highly suggest you use because when you're using Amazon as a supplier, Amazon isn't really friendly to dropshippers. They don't like people taking their products and then sending them or reselling them. So they could ban your account. So when you use Fulfilled by AutoDS, your account is never at risk. Instead, AutoDS is using their own accounts And in order to pay for any of the products or any of the orders, then up here, you're going to have a balance that you top up, which is what AutoDS is going to use to make these payments. Now, this other option, automatic orders, what that simply means is that whenever an order comes into your store, it's automatically ordered by the system. So if we don't have this turned on, what's going to happen is whenever an order comes in, it's going to be set to a pending status, and then it's going to be up to you simply to just switch it to auto order, so that way the order goes through. If we have this on, then it's just going to go straight through and it's going to be ordered using Fulfilled by AutoDS. And if we don't have the first option checked off, what's going to happen is that AutoDS is simply going to use your buyer accounts, which you set, in order to make these purchases. So it'll log on to Amazon, AliExpress, Walmart, whatever the supplier is, under your credentials, and it's going to make that purchase using your debit or your credit card or your banking details. Then we have HipShipper, and HipShipper is simply just an international shipping program that instead of shipping your products to eBay and having them ship it internationally, you ship it to HipShipper and then they take care of the shipping afterwards. Then we have the override customer's phone number. So if you don't want your customer to get any, let's say any updates via text message, you can go ahead and put your phone number here, or you can just simply put a 999 number, just put 9s down the board. We can mark orders as delivered automatically. We can go ahead and click on this. And then if our orders aren't marked as delivered within 30 days, the system will automatically mark them as delivered. We can go ahead and change this to 15 days or whatever we want it to be. And then we have the set order as shipped. So simply what this means is that the order is going to be marked as shipped whenever one of these three happens. So whenever the shipping status changes, whenever the order status changes, or whenever the order is received. I always just keep it as shipped status. Then we have the tracking conversion. So we have a few different options to change our tracking numbers, mask different tracking numbers. You can convert all the tracking numbers to QTrack with a zip code masquerade. So it's pretty much going to mask the zip code. You can also convert Amazon shipping carriers tracking numbers to QTrack. You can convert all of the order tracking numbers to Blue Care Express, Amazon to Blue Care Express, or simply just generate UPS, FedEx, or DHL tracking numbers. Then we have a few different automatic messages that we can send to our customers. So requesting feedback whenever an order is placed, whenever the tracking number is available. We can go ahead and change these, and we can turn them on or keep them off. We can click on edit, and then we can change our message. We can also insert any information down here. So let's say we can put thanks for your order, and then we can put the buyer first name, so it'll include the buyer's first name. Also, don't forget, in any one of these different pages or any one of these different tabs, always make sure to click on save whenever you make any changes. Otherwise, everything's going to go back to default. And then last but not least, we have the general tab. So under general, we can go ahead and change the default weights. I'm in the US, so it's going to be under pounds or ounces. We can go ahead and do automatic SKU filling. We usually just keep this off. It's not something that you really need turned on. And we have the monitoring, so minimum product quantity, maximum shipping days, and the choose your suppliers table. So the minimum product quantity, what this means is that if our supplier has just one in stock, it's going to be marked as out of stock on our end. Let's say if we change to 10, if our supplier has 11 products, it'll show us in stock. If our supplier drops down to 10 products, it's going to show us out of stock. This is pretty much just going to ensure that our supplier always has something in stock. It's pretty much just being more safe than sorry. And then same thing for the maximum shipping days. So if it takes our supplier, I don't know, if it shows on their supplier's page, or if it shows on their product page that it takes more than 10 days to ship, we can put this to 10, and it's just not going to order it from that supplier. By default, it's 30, but if anything takes more than 5 days to ship, honestly, just go with a different supplier. And then we have choose from suppliers table. So here's you're going to have the different options for shipping. So you can choose anything that is the cheapest first, or anything that has Amazon Prime first. Or you can also just choose Prime only. Then once again, just click on save, and all of your settings will be saved. And that's pretty much how you set all of the different settings for your store settings under the AutoDS dashboard. If you found this video informational and you want more tutorials on the AutoDS system, e-commerce, or dropshipping overall, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you smash that like button. If you see a little hype feature down there, make sure you hit that as well. And remember to take advantage of the special 2-week promotion for just $1 for AutoDS if you're not signed up just yet. And with that, my name is Mario with AutoDS, and I'll catch y'all next time.